10th anniversary, My Creative Ventures. You have helped a lot of people already. I'm sure that the creative industry in Malaysia would thrive even more in the coming years. So let's hope for that 20th anniversary to come.
Saya wishkan happy 10th anniversary. Thank you for the support, especially penjana pada tahun 2020.
Thank you, My Creative Venture, and happy 10 years anniversary. We are very happy to have the help from My Creative Venture.
Congratulations, My Creative Venture. Together with RSP, we're also 10 years old, so we're twins. But anyways, don't stop, don't give up, and keep doing it. Alright guys, congratulations once again. Thank you.
Happy 10 years anniversary, My Creative. Thank you so much for all your supports in creative industry, especially in the animation industry, and we hope we can grow together with you in many years together and in future and beyond.
Happy 10th anniversary, My Creative Ventures, from all of us at Happy Canvas. Thank you for all the support. I'll be sending more applications soon.
During the pandemic, you didn't give up on us
No.
or the industry as a whole.
And you are truly the best kind of friends a performing arts group can have.
But anyway,
Thank
it's
you.
your 10th birthday, and
Yeah.
we just want to say thank you and happy birthday.
Keep up the
Yeah.
good work.
Art is alive.
Art is rich.
Art can make you feel like nothing else.
Art is an engine to drive the nation forward. Art pushes people to gather and celebrate, to invest their energy in brand new ways.
And to invest in Malaysian art is to invest in us. Art is our gorgeous history and our bright future. Cendana pushes us forward. And from here, we rise.
Well, hello everybody. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, and a wonderful evening to everyone. And I think it's not too late for me to wish Selamat Hari Raya to everyone who are here today celebrating it. And I would like to also say welcome to ACE Funding Opportunities for the Cultural Economy. My name is Malik Effendi, and I'll be your MC for this evening. And on behalf of My Creative Ventures and Cendana, we would like to say thank you very much to each and every one of you for taking your time to join us in this session this evening. Now, for your information, this special session is for all art practitioners who are interested in identifying suitable funding opportunities to apply to implement their respective projects. Now, before we go on to today's program, let's check out some of the housekeeping rules that we have to ensure that tonight's evening will run smoothly. Now, first and foremost, to ensure clear audio quality, we would like to request for you to please mute your audio. And also, we will share details and information on funding opportunities for the arts, followed by a sharing session and also a Q&A session. And for your information as well, we will be recording this session for monitoring purposes. And also, you can type your questions in the Q&A feature. So these are very simple housekeeping rules that we would like to request for you to adhere so that today's or tonight's session will run smoothly. Now, without further ado, we would like to invite our My Creative Ventures Group Chief Executive Officer, none other than Mr. Junadi Nawawi, to say a few words. Over to you, Mr. J.
Thank you, Falik. Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam keluarga Malaysia, salam selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri Mubarak, maaf zahir dan batin. And just to follow on from what Falik has just said, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to our session this evening. And I'm sure this is something that you've all been waiting for since the beginning of the year, since we closed off last year with a little bit of a bang, if I can say so, with the opening up of the creative sector. And though we may have started this year a little bit on the quiet side, I must admit, but what I can share is that just going back in the last 2 years, which you would have probably seen in the video that we showed earlier, with the allocation of Penjana funds by the government, which we have administered to the best of our ability this past 2 years since 2020 and going through into 2021. Now I think we're still in the midst of channeling the funds. Some of you, I'm sure, at least are recipients of the funds that we are managing. And we are in the process of right now, coming from our 10th year anniversary, which we recently celebrated as a group, and of which Cendana and also Rio, which are an integral part of our group going forward. We are in the process of charting the direction for the next 5 years, going on to the next 10 years, if I can say so myself, right? And just as a little bit of a background, I think I can share further that over the past 10 years, where we had started off doing debt funding for the creative sector through initially My Creative Ventures, and eventually with the birth of Cendana and also Rio, we have diversified as a group, if I can say so, that moving towards industry development, event activation, workshops, facilitations, advocacies, and the like. And those are amongst the things that we have done before, and we've come to the point of telling ourselves that we've seen, we've come, and we've done. So what's next? And this is a forum that more so I would like to be able to extract thoughts and inputs from all of you through the Q&A, right? And through the sharing that will be done by the panelists, whom I shall leave to my former colleague, Ms. Izan, to do the introduction after this, right? And what I can say is that going forward, we look to the participation from all of you, right? It's not just about us in charting a path or direction for the creative economy and the sectors. And I'm sure all of you, having come from various segments of the sector, looking forward to what's next, because we've seen, like I said, Penjana, as you've seen in the video that we shared earlier, and that served as a boost and also to resuscitate this sector in the light of the pandemic. Having now come into the endemic phase, I think is something that we all look forward to, including ourselves as an agency. In how do we now play a bigger part in bringing this entire industry forward with the participation of all of you. And as I said, I want to be able to use this forum as a means or a platform to generate ideas and thoughts that you can share, perhaps, because being there in the thick of things on the ground, you'll be the best position to be able to guide us on how to take matters further when it comes to development of the creative industry. And again, we have got the panelists who can share further on funding opportunities that remain, that's still out there, right? Notwithstanding the fact that you may have not heard any announcements lately from the government or even from us, as we're still charting the path for the next phase, as I said earlier. And the next milestones would be looking forward to budget 2023, which we will get busy with soon, and the announcement of which will be made in October, as you can always expect at that time of the year. And we'll see from there what we can do next. And until then, to get to that point, I think we will be occupied with extracting inputs again, as I said, and being able to formulate programs, events, that would serve all of you as a penggiat or the participants of this economy, of this sector. Now, just coming back to our 10th anniversary that was the glimpse of which was shared in the video earlier, I think it's just a summary of what we have been able to do. And I would also like to take the opportunity to seek your indulgence for any shortcomings that we have may not have been able to attend to or deliver on our part. And again, I look forward to your feedback and input on how best we can work together further to bring this industry forward. And as I said, it's not about just one agency. It's the entire sector, all the variables and all the elements in this economy that needs to work together, move together in order to move the sector. Now, this sector, I can also relate to the fact that in the 12th Malaysia Plan has been given due mention as one of the 8 strategic sectors that have been identified as a key growth area. So we will continue to leverage on that and be able to, how should I say, seek the assistance further from the government in terms of funding or facilitation of any sort. So as I said, it's not just about availability of funds, but beyond that, we also have to think of what other ways we can come up with and to approach issues, problems, regulation, and other forms of challenges that may still be in the way for us to develop this sector further and benchmark ourselves against regional competitors, regional peers such as Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, and beyond that, Korea for that matter. Right? And I don't want to take too long. In fact, as an intro, I think this just about summarizes everything, right? But as I said, we look forward to hearing from the panelists and look forward to the Q&As, and from which perhaps I can share my thoughts further as I pick up what the community has to say, what the panelists have to say, and the team members as well from My Creative and Cendana here, who are all with us here today, and we can brainstorm together as well and continue to solicit feedback from each other. Would that be too short, Falik, or would that be too long?
I think that would be just nice. If you have anything else to say, you have a few more minutes, but well, yeah.
Yeah, if there's anything else that I would like to say is, again, thinking of new ways of doing things, thinking of new ways of facilitating and fundraising as well. Those are the elements that are high on my mind right now. And going forward, what I would like to put through is the fact that we can't keep going back to the government. This is coming from me as the head of an agency. And we will continue to seek annual allocations, yes, right? But at the same time, we as a community, we got to figure out what other ways, what other channels that we can tap or leverage upon, And my vision personally is to be able to tap the involvement of the greater fraternity, corporates and the government-linked companies for that matter, because I think the assistances, facilitation, and other forms of developmental elements are available out there. And it's just not just limited to one or a few agencies or ministry for that matter. So we got to think beyond that and be able to work together as a community. I guess you can say that it does take it takes more than a village to move a mountain, I would say, right? And this is the challenge that lies in front of us. Just going back to the history of My Creative again, I think we've been able to serve to the extent that we can in the past 10 years. But again, in charting a path or roadmap for the next 10 years, this is our bigger challenge. This goes back to the question of what's next, and how else can we do more, and how can we do more with less, for example. Yeah. So that's something that I want to open up. And for the rest of this year, we will continue to figure how to work things out and be able to come up with something which you will see as we go along. We will have the announcements and press releases as we go along. Right. For this year, yes, I just want to draw a little bit of attention what the activities that have been lined up for this year. It will revolve around our tour that we had started in a couple of months back in March, and that will go on. And now that the economy has opened up with less restrictions and less regulations when it comes to having events and gatherings, we look forward to having the tour to be run more smoothly, and there'll be more to look forward to month by month until end of the year, right? And I'm sure a lot of spin-off activities will come from there as well, which is the whole community can look forward to.
Yes.
And I think I must say that we have been somewhat cocooned for the past 2 years, and I myself personally am looking forward to more vibrancy, more activities, more should I say more excitement for the rest of this year, right? Starting in this month in May, I think with the Hari Raya celebrations, we've seen that how things have started to relax when it comes to gatherings, events, and we know for a fact that there are many things being planned out there by various parties, whether it's government or corporates or even a smaller private sector. There are things being planned, there are events being planned throughout the country, and I believe that things will start to explode maybe in July, right up to the end of the year.
Yep.
So these are amongst the things that we can look forward to as a community, us being part of that community. We are with you, right? And we'll continue to be with you.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll stop there for now, right? Before I go on.
Right, okay. Thank you so much, Mr. J, for that concise speech that you shared with us on pretty much the direction of My Creative Ventures in Cendana for the next few years coming. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Junadi, Chief Executive Officer of My Creative Ventures. Now, like I mentioned just now, we have a panel session coming up after this, and we have panelists from various organizations that will share with you options or funding opportunities that you can apply for if you have any projects that you want to embark on, especially this year. Right. Before that, I would like to encourage everyone, if you have any questions, do not be shy. Just post it in the Q&A section of the chat, or there's a Q&A section in the Zoom area. You can ask your question. We'll get our panelists to answer the questions later on in the Q&A session. Now, to get into the panel session, we have our moderator, who is a very familiar face in the creative economy sector, right? She is none other than Puan Izan Satrina Masaliuddin. I will have to make sure that I say this correctly. Senior Director, Partnerships and Creative Sector, Think City. Right, over to you, Puan Izan.
Welcome back, Izan.
Thank you.
Looking forward to this partnership in a new way.
Yes, it's so lovely to be back, although as a moderator, and it's so good to see everyone, even though we're still in an online format. Very quickly, a big shout out to My Creative Ventures and Cendana for making tonight happen. Selamat Hari Raya kepada semua. And I find this very unusually quiet for a Cendana workshop. Usually would have like 100 messages in the box. But I think people, since it's the new year, new spirit, mungkin senyap sikit kot. Tetapi kita cuba santaikan, kita galakkan soalan-soalan yang ada daripada pihak komuniti yang ingin diajukan kepada panelis-panelis, mohon disenaraikan dengan kadar segera agar kita boleh sasarkan soalan kepada the right panelists. Yeah. As moderator, again, thank you so much to Mr. J and Falik for this opportunity and the rest of the team. I will make it quick to ensure that we get to the gist of the conversation. As a start, focus malam ni is really on the funding opportunity. So I think the objective we want to take away, or we want you to take away, is to see the suitable opportunities out there, whether it's funding or non-monetary. We want to encourage conversations between you and the grant givers, grant providers, cultural institutions here and foundations. And we do want to encourage direct engagements with you as a follow-up from the session. Ataupun insyaAllah, you pun boleh membuat permohonan directly after the session. Now, I hadn't envisioned a very concise program flow, but since we're running a bit late, I'll try to in the theme of Hari Raya. Okay, so it's a bad joke. I know my former team will probably slap my wrist for a bad joke, but if you get it, do put a smiley face if you can on the Zoom. But we're going to go into introductions, presentations from the panelists, 7 minutes each. Broad questions that I do have. I think the community may ponder on some of these questions, and we'll go directly to the Q&A that you have probably have in mind to ensure that you have a successful application. So let's try to have fun, make this casual. Just FYI broadly, as you may know, the cultural ecosystem, a creative ecosystem is actually quite broad. We have different funders, providers who provide opportunities, intermediaries, and all of that. At the moment, as an FYI, please take note because this is not in my slides. At the moment, you do have grants from Hasanah Saim Darby Foundation, Kaki Seni Christian Jit Astro Fund that is doing a call for applications, and also Think City. And you also have other funders who may not be doing call for applications, but they are actually they do have an allocation to provide. So you can speak directly to Creator Foundation, Maybank Foundation, Yayasan TM, CIMB Foundation. And of course, since all the international borders are somewhat open, you can also start talking to the international embassies for potential mobility funds to get you to certain places for cultural exchange. Okay, that's quick and short. And to the next slide, very quickly for international mobility funding, bear in mind that Chandana had done a mobility funding guideline. You can find it on the Asia Europe Foundation website or Chandana's website, and it shows an outline of some of the local and international funding providers with the aspect of mobility. Otherwise, I have noticed that Accentrica has also written an article about grants, and I think I find it very interesting for you to sort of Google and find out and read more about it. Okay, to our panelists, I have this honor of moderating this session, and we have 4 amazing panelists with us who I think from clients to have been partners to, I hope I can call them also as friends. We have Dr. Celia Leong from Think City, who heads up the cultural-based economic development team. Dr. Hajah Yatila Zainal Abidin, CEO of Yayasan Saim Darby, who has been leading it for the past 12 years. Florence Lambert, who has also been working in the sector for a long time and now heads up the British Council Malaysia for arts and creative industries. And we have Tomo Kawasan, who is the head of cultural affairs for the Department of Japan Foundation, KL. I apologize in advance, it's raining heavily here in case there's some noise in the background, but I'll do my best to facilitate the session. So now to kick off things, without further ado, perhaps in this flow, all the roses in this panel session will start first. So we will have Dr. Celia, 7 minutes, Dr. Hajah Yatila, so Florence, and then Tomo Kawasan before we get into questions and Q&A from the online floor. So Dr. Celia, over to you, please.
Thank you, Izan. So I would like to thank My Creative Ventures and also, how to call that, sorry. My eyes are like blinking. I think the panelists are smiling. Yes, and also Chandana for organizing this session today. So I bear in mind I have 7 minutes and I'm going to go straight into it. Okay. Please let me know if you're seeing my full screen. Okay. So hello everybody. I am Celia from Think City. I lead the team Culture-Based Economic Development, what it's about. I'm going to share more. But today, more importantly, I'm going to introduce cultural economic catalytic grants. And these grants sit under a bigger project, and that project is called Northern Region Arctourism Network. All right. So just a bit of on Think City, like just 30 seconds. What's Think City? So Think City is an impact organization. We dedicate ourselves to creating spaces that's equitable, more livable and people-friendly, and we are a subsidiary of Khazanah. We look into culture economy, urban mechanics, which is another word for placemaking for us, social and climate resilience, looking at climate change and PPR housing and so forth. Yes. So today I'm going to introduce a Northern Region Archaeotourism Network Program, which the grant is sitting under. What is the aim of this program? So this program, we aim to leverage on Northern Region Peninsula Malaysia, its unique, like a tangible and intangible cultural assets. To be honest, it is a time of a challenge for many, especially we are recovering from the COVID-19 severe impact on the economy. So these assets has potential to build the resilience and socio-economic growth. And we're very fortunate that under the budget of 2022, under the Ministry of Finance, 10 million ringgit has been given, and we are promoting this as the Grant Pemangkin Ekonomi Budaya. All right, you might ask, what's in Northern Region Malaysia? We have actually studied the area and we find that it's a suitable platform for cultural economy development. It's rich in history, culture, and natural assets. And most important of all, archaeological asset is actually the niche of the valley. So I'm not sure how many of you know, but Lenggong is actually a World Heritage Site, archaeological World Heritage Site of UNESCO. It was inscribed in 2012. And the places that we are focusing in the beginning as an early focus of this program are lesser well-known areas, and they are not the capital of an area. So for example, we're thinking about if I'm a traveler or a visitor, I would like to move along a network. So from Lenggong, you connect to Kuala Kangsar. Along the way, you can drop by Karai and then move on to Taiping and then Kuala Sepetang. So with these, the grantees we will encourage the process to explore and discover the hidden gems in your area. Of course, it's not limited to this, but however, this project has a one-year focus, so we need to focus on certain areas, but we encourage from other areas to apply as well. All right, okay, this is a little bit of a history. Don't be afraid of this slide, okay? It's a timeline showing how rich is the asset in this northern region. The region itself has evidence of nearly 2 million years of human evolution and civilization. So in Lenggong, there is a, silvrite rock, which is from outer space, and meteorite that landed 1.83 million years ago, and stone hand axe has been found in it. And this has been made by a human species called Human erectus that has migrated outside of Africa. And this is found in Malaysia. How wonderful. And of course, as we move along the timeline, there's also other human species like the Denisovan. There's also formation of early kingdoms like Ganga Negara, Sriwijaya. And as we move along, there's Sultanate. There's also the role of Malaysia in trading. And then there's also independence, colonization, and finally World War II, and until today. So the area has bare evidence of rich history and asset for all to be experienced. Now, for this area, our grants has three aspects that we can focus on. So what can you apply? Number one is capacity building and advocacy. So if you wish to have some projects that you want to empower the local communities, upskill entrepreneurship and community programs, we can look into this. In fact, apart from entrepreneur for the local communities, there's also scientist program like for the children in school to have go to archaeological site and discover the sites themselves. We call this the Citizen Scientist Program. And the second one is actually content curation. So why are these areas lesser known than others? Definitely information is less available. Hence, we encourage grantees that would like to publish, do documentary, package and brand their products, digitalize their businesses, and so forth. And these fall under content curation. The third aspect that we can do is demonstration. Okay, I have, very good or nice historic buildings in my area. I have traditional houses, and I would like to curate some program and in an important site. Can I do this? Yes, all this is fall under demonstration where we demonstrate best practice, how to conserve and preserve cultural assets. All right. Okay, when is this grant open? Okay, we have already have a launch on 11 April. It's closing by 22nd May. Don't be daunted by the short time available because, as I explained, you understand why. So we'll announce the result 4th of July, and you have 5 months to implement this project by the end of the year. So hence, the individuals who are, the people who are eligible are individuals, collectives, organization nationwide who are interested and actively contributing to the development of Malaysian culture sites. So it's very rare that a grant that actually encourages even individuals to apply, and we are one of them. So how you can do this is that Think City, we encourage co-creation of application. That means we welcome you to contact us to have the personal session and make sure that your grant, application fit into this scope, and we would like you to succeed. You can download the forms, at thinkcity.com.my/budaya, submit online, email, or even post to us. If you have any question, please send email to us and also WhatsApp to us. If you would like to know more, you have not missed the boat. We have one final online workshop this Friday at 10:30 a.m. So please join us. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Celia. Thank you for being so prompt and within the time provided for.
I hope everybody can follow me,
yes,
even though you say santai session.
Yeah, I do want to remain santai and then galakkan soalan daripada pihak community. Saya menjemput sekarang Dr. Hajah Yatila untuk membentangkan sedikit sebanyak tentang Yayasan Saim Dabi dan also the grant programs that they have under them. Persilakan Dr. Hajah.
Terima kasih. Thank you, Izan, and thank you, Chandana, for having me at this session. Right, let me just straight go into sharing my screen. I have only 7 minutes, so it's going to be very, very short, this presentation. All right, so I think you can see my screen. All right, so Yayasan Saim Dabi. We were founded in 1982, and we are the philanthropic arm of the three Saim Dabi companies, Saim Dabi Berhad, Saim Dabi Plantation Berhad, and Saim Dabi Property Berhad. And we are governed by an independent council, and we aim to make sustainable impact under our 5 pillars, which are education, environment, community and health, sports, and what we are going to be focusing on tonight, arts and culture. Now, under the arts and culture pillar, straight into it, what are we looking for? Ultimately, we would like to make the impact and increase sustainability, accessibility, appreciation of arts, heritage, culture, and tradition of the Malaysian kind for the Malaysian public by creating more skilled Malaysian artists, as well as increasing their livelihoods and recognition. And our focus areas are via arts and culture encouragement, arts demand development, and arts education and empowerment. So we focus on these areas, and I think quite a lot of you would fall under these areas. Ultimately, we want to make that impact. The more sustainable the impact, the better. So far, we have committed more than 32 million ringgit for arts and culture projects, and we have a capacity built more than 24,500 individuals in all kinds of arts, dance, performing arts, theatre, etc., etc. Creative works, we have supported 812, and artists, we have supported 434 in what they need to do. So you see, we keep track of these numbers because they are important to us. Of course, we need to see the long-term impact, but that would take a lot of our resources, and we will have to rely on our partners to give that information to us. So these are our partners we've been working with all these years, just a few. KL PAC, Ask Dance Company, KL Shakespeare, the Royal Press, we also support letterpress printing. So we do quite a lot of different kinds of support for the arts and in schools as well. Right, so this is, I think, what you would be interested in, the different categories of our support for the arts. Now, we have 2 types. One is the one-off sponsorship, and the other one is the long-term sponsorship. Ultimately, it's how much our support would be. Now, if it's 25,000 and below, it will fall under the one-off sponsorship. Usually, these kinds of projects will last less than a year. And the good thing is that the application is open all year round. And because the application is approved just at the management level, so it's going to be easier in a shorter period. Now, long-term sponsorships are those above 25,000. and usually they're over a year. Now our projects, if long-term ones, the maximum will go up to 3 years. Yeah, but then if you do achieve your objectives and we feel that the partnership will really benefit from us supporting more, we will expand that sponsorship for another maximum 3 years. So that's the kind of relationship that we have with organizations such as KLPAC, with Five Arts Center, with Ask Dance Company, etc., etc. Now, these kinds of sponsorship take a long time to process, and they are approved by our council every quarter. And the deadlines are actually published on our website. They take around 3 months or more to process. So you'll need to apply fast, quick if you need the sponsorship. But for one-off sponsorships, it will take about a month still, because there's a lot of work still to be done. But it can be anytime. It's not really focused on the time of when the council meeting is done. So number one, if you want to apply for a Yayasan Saim Darbi sponsorship for your arts projects, identify the category of sponsorship you wish to request for, whether one-off or long-term. Prepare your project plans, your detailed information and targeted impact. Ultimately, impact is what we look for submission, and based on our guidelines. Visit our website. Have a look at it. You can scan this QR code or you can just key in this link and you will see something like what we have down here. And just click on this sponsorship tab, which will bring you to this page, and download our proposal guidelines. Read through them before you download our proposal template and complete them. Now, please remember that our sponsorship funding is provided on a reimbursement basis to entities mainly, and individuals are required to be affiliated with organizations, yeah, and submit your proposal online with our template via our website. And we have quite a few partners over the years. We just want to highlight quite a few long-term partners that we have. KLPAC, Ask Dance Company, Five Arts Center, Arts Ed is a new partner, British Council is a long-term partner, and Kaki Seni Junior as well for Kaki Seni, sorry, and doing the Kaki Seni Junior web page. Badan Warisan Malaysia, Sea Shots are one-offs. Project Rabat is also a one-off project. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hajah Yatila. I really love how you structured it in such an animated way so we can read it chunk by chunk. Florence, you're up next. Your 7 minutes starts now. Have fun.
Can you hear me, everybody? Yes? Good? Okay, thank you. So good evening and Selamat Hari Raya, everyone. I want to thank My Creative Ventures and Cendana for organizing this webinar and for giving the British Council a chance to share with you our plans for 22 and 23. So in today's session, I can only share with you what I can share at the moment, because I'm afraid that not all of our plans are confirmed yet. We only have the top line areas and budget indications at this stage. The mechanism and the activity dates are not yet confirmed. So I would ask for a little bit more patience from all of you. But before I go into more details, I wanted to share a few very important comments. The first one is that obviously the pandemic has had a vast impact in the arts and cultural sectors everywhere. And we are currently redesigning our programs at a global level for the British Council to respond to all these changes. Another thing you need to know additionally to this is that our financial year at the British Council is from March to April. Hence, this is why our plans are not fully publishable at this stage. We're still working on some budget and details for the activities, the more specific activities that we could be doing in this year, but also in the next 3 years. But what I can share with you is this, is that now the British Council, I guess like all the other organizations, will be working on a hybrid model of project delivery using both physical and online. And that is something that all the grantees should consider when planning for their grants applications. The plans will be firm up by July, and we will only start to open for calls for submissions by then. And finally, what I can share with you is that we will now have 4 global programs in all our offices in the world for arts. And in Malaysia, we will work this year on at least 3 of those 4 programs in arts. And those programs are Culture Connect, Creative Economy, and Arts in Response to Global Challenges. So for Culture Connect, we're looking at different types of grant activities. We're looking at scoping visits and research. We really want to provide solid insights. The research for this year will most likely be around international collaborations with the UK, between the UK and Malaysia, areas of collaborations. How can they be delivered to best suit everybody's needs, etc., etc. So there will be a call, and that will be for addressed to researchers and academia. We're also looking at another type of activity, which would be called Connecting Cultural Professionals, and that would be more about sending delegations inbound and outbound between Malaysia and the UK. And it would be about connecting industry professionals with each other. And I can already tell you that for this one, for this year, we are already sending a number of delegates to a number of festivals, but there will be more to come. Another type of grants will be creative collaborations, and we've got 2 mechanisms for this. One is going to be most likely called Connection Through Culture, and another one which is called International Collaboration Grant. So again, we will this will be addressed to arts professionals, organizations, individuals, and these calls will most likely start in July. Showcasing and touring is something that we're looking at, but perhaps not for 22, more likely for the coming years. What we want to do is to prep our foundation so that showcasing and touring could come in the following year. So then the next program will be around creative economy, and for that one we will do policy research, thought leadership and advocacy work. And for that one I'm actually going to launch a call to everyone, to all the partners here. If you see areas of work, especially in research, where you want to collaborate with us because you feel that it is important, by all means, talk to us so that we can all come together to serve the industry better, or the sectors better, sorry. So for this year, we're probably going to look at the creative industries and art sectors more specifically in terms of research. Then the other strand of work will be around creative economy ecosystem support. And then finally, the third area of work will be around arts responding to global challenges, and that will potentially take 2 strands. One will be around cultural heritage and inclusive growth, and the other one will be around climate change. So I know that this is probably not detailed enough for all of you, but I hope that this gives you an idea of the kind of areas of work that we will be looking at. The other thing I want to say is that there are certain themes that we are very keen to work on, and those themes will be prioritized. And the first one is going to be inclusion. And by inclusion, we mean marginalized communities, disabled communities, LGBT communities, gender equality, decolonization. All these are topics that we want to bring out. And sustainability, both environmental and economic. The next thing is to understand that all these programs are meant for artists and arts organizations who want to collaborate with UK artists. The component of the UK collaboration with Malaysian is extremely important in your application. And so that leads me to what I would like to share as potential advice when you prepare for your applications with the British Council. So you've got up to July to really think about what is it that you want to create, and why do you want to create that? Think about the skills and knowledge that you want to gain or exchange. And most importantly, research your potential partner in the UK first. And we can help you with that. We have a directory of UK organizations on our website, so please do check it out. And contact us. Me and Erica are available anytime for all of you. So I have put my email, and it's also going to be on the chat. And I've also put our website link. And what I really want to say is that we would like to not only work with you as artists and arts organizations, but we also want to put out a call that the British Council is really keen to work with the other organization like Think City, like Yayasan Sardabi, like the group at Unique, everybody who is in the ecosystem, so that we come together. So I'm really keen to receive any phone call or inquiries from any of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Florence. Thank you for sharing some tips also for the community to consider when they actually embark on doing some work with the British Council. I think I'm following some of the questions in the Q&A box. I think it's unusually quiet for a Cendana workshop session. I understand that Cendana has unlocked the chat group on Zoom, so you're able to drop any questions in the chat box versus the Q&A function, if that helps us be a bit more fluid in the questions. Feel free to be candid, of course, also remain respectful with your questions. Tough questions are always welcomed, of course, if you need clarity from our partners. Tomo Kawasan, please, we invite you to do your presentation with regards to Japan Foundation KL.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Riza. So could you show our slide? Okay, thank you so much. And at the first, we were very appreciated to invite us, Japan Foundation. So at first, we introduce ourselves briefly. The Japan Foundation is an independent administrative institution and as a Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have 25 offices in 24 countries. Next. Okay, we have two types of grant. One is JFK Small Grant Program. For this program, we support activities which promote, introduce, and deepen understanding of Japan, its language and culture, as well to support projects which encourage multilateral cultural exchange between Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, and Japan. The reason why Singapore, Brunei is included is we also cover both countries too. So we have three categories. First is category A. Category A is concerning in the field of Japanese arts and culture. And category B is project concerning Japanese studies and intellectual exchange. And category C, projects concerning to Japanese language. Next. Application deadline. So for category A and B, if you do the physical event or hybrid event, I mean physical and online, application must be submitted at least 3 months prior to the project start date. If you do an online event, at least 1 month prior to the project start date. For category C, at least 1 month prior to the project start date. Also, we recommend to send a pre-proposal to check ability and possibility before sending the application. Maximum amount of each category for a small grant. For category A and B, up to 15,000 ringgit. For category C, up to 5,000 ringgit. Next. This is an example of activities we funded. Before COVID, we supported a lot of physical events, but during COVID, we also supported a lot of online events. Next. So this is a grant coverage. We support honorarium, per diem, transportation fee, flight cost, accommodation, dental fee, and the publicity fee, and visa, and purchasing like teaching materials. So the grant will not cover 100% of the cost. Project must be based on cost sharing, basically. So please care about it. Next. Second grant is the Japan Foundation HQ grant. For this HQ grant, we have 5. So first is grant program for dispatching artists and culture specialists. Could you go back to the page? Yes. So for the first application is only from the organization, individuals in Japan. So please care about it. 2, exhibition abroad support program. 3, program for specialists in culture and academic fields. 4, Ishibashi Foundation, the Japan Foundation Fellowship for Research on Japanese Art. 5, support program for translation and publication in Japan. For this program, we have a lot of kinds. So for further details, please check www.jpf.go.jp. So the newest guideline for fiscal year 2023 will be announced around September to October this year. So please check our webpage. So application deadline for that from 1 to 4 is 1st December every year, usually. And for 5, it will be around November 19th. Could you go to the next page? Okay, that's all. Thank you so much.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you so much for that and having it concise. Thank you so much to all the panelists for keeping in time, keeping in line with the time checks and all. There are a few questions that are in, but perhaps I'll kick it off and then we can take questions from the online floor. I think some of the questions that will be raised, some of them are specifically maybe directed to one of the panelists or both or semua. It may not be relevant to all. But maybe to start off here, because I'm seeing the profile or some of the folks who are attending today, I'm quite familiar with. Maybe for the benefit of the communities, the programs that you are offering individually under Think City Samdabi, British Council and Japan Foundation, is the program open to all sectors under the creative industries, or is it limited to certain sectors? Rozo, silakan.
Can I?
Yeah,
for Yayasan Saim Jabi, we don't have any limitation of which sectors. We all this while we've been supporting areas, all kinds of areas: dance, theatre, film, literature, even archiving of arts, visual arts, installations, restorations, as well as creative hubs with British Council. So as long as it's something to do with the arts and heritage and culture, we should be able to support. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Hajagila. Dr. Celia, Florence, and Tomokawa-san, maybe do you have any comments, or are your programs applicable? Are all sectors eligible to apply for your programs?
Yeah, if I may. So in the past 3 years, there was a lot of focus through our two main programs on craft and creative hubs. We are still going to leverage on the past work that we've done, but we are definitely looking at opening up to a lot more sectors. So the short answer is yes, there is no limitation. No, sorry, the short answer is no, there is no limitation. We're opening up to all the sectors, and we're welcoming individuals and organizations.
Thank you.
As for Think City, our grant, I believe the other organization has a continuous grants program. Ours looks like it's only for this year. I think the important is not the sectors, but it's the content, how it is relevant to enhance the cultural asset of the area itself. We may have specified the northern region, but most important is how it helps the area. It can be in festival, it can be in performance, it can be in art products, it can be a documentary, but how it can enhance it is the most important thing. It's the content. So anybody with a great idea are eligible to apply. If we are even open to people who maybe have difficulty even expressing themselves, we have gone down to the ground and we have sat down with applicants who are, have a lower level of literacy or difficulty in writing, and we were assisting them to pen down their ideas because they had great ideas. So it's not about levels or how good you are, but it is really the content.
Thank you, Dr. Celia. Do you have any comments, Tomokawa-san?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Zhang. So our program is open to grant support related to arts and culture and social science and humanities. But regarding the scientific in nature, we don't support. So for that, please check our guideline. There is a ineligibility item. So please check our guideline.
Thank you. I guess in some of the programs that you run, one thing that I've taken note of is that I think there was one presentation that explicitly articulates that the program does not cover 100% of the grant request. So hypothetically, if I am an artist and I apply requesting for 100,000 ringgit grant from you, what is the likelihood expected ratio for the grants from your organization? What would you provide, and how much do I need to sort of fundraise from other partners or from myself? Would anyone like to go first?
Maybe I can go first. Yeah. So even though I didn't put it on the slide, actually our grant can go as small as 5,000. It's depending on the kind of work and the scope and the extent that you're willing to cover. And the ceiling is maximum is 500,000. Bear in mind, our grant also covers some physical restoration. Let's say I have a homestay and I have a very nice Rumah Melayu and my roof is broken and I need Orang Asli to come and help me to produce, the leaves and install them. So it requires a certain skills and material, and we support that either. So it's 5,000 to 500,000 is the minimum and maximum. What was the other question again, Izan? Was it one more?
So if what's the how much are you giving in terms of percentage, and how much therefore should I plan to fundraise from other partners?
Okay, so in our case in Think City, of course, we have consideration of case by case. We are also wary that in certain areas there are B40 communities and those communities that are affected very much and they can't afford it. So in such a case, we actually even, has considered even 100%. And also there's also cases where the cost was, is supporting a really good idea and they don't have any other partners. But there is also a case where most of the cases based on our experience in Penang is that we encourage the co-funding from the owner or another partner itself. Reason being is building the ownership. If we have funded a project 100%, there are higher chances based on our experience that it will be not so sustainable. So we encourage a certain amount by the owner or another partner to build up the ownership that they want to sustain this project to a second year and third year. And the likelihood to do so is more than 80% from our experience in Penang. So we consider case by case, it can be 60-40 and so forth. But then there's another important thing is that it's not everything is in money and cent. We also consider the labor. There are people who has put in a team of many man hours and they said, we'll not get paid, but we'd like to contribute our man hours. Can that be also considered? Yes, we consider that as also part of your co-investment or contribution to the project.
Thank you, Dr. Celia. That's really interesting that there is a perspective of also jointly enabling work by monetary funds from our partner and also man hours that I can contribute to the partnership as well. Is there a perspective from Yayasan Saim Dabi on the matter so that our artists can also better plan?
Okay, as I mentioned, for our sponsorship, it's just whatever that's below 25,000, anything above 25,000. There's not really any minimum or maximum, but ultimately we would look into what is it, what the project is, what are the deliverables that the project is supposed to be contributing, and we'd like to see a good return of investment before we take on the project. Ultimately, if it is required, Yayasan Saim Dabi may take up the full amount of the cost of the project, depending on what those costs are and what are the costs that we are used to doing. And usually it covers quite a lot of all the costs. But I think from our experience, usually our partner would cover some of the costs. As Dr. Celia also mentioned about their resources, etc. They put in so much of those in kind, not only the RM. So we come in with the RM. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I guess the other question is when you do look into the applications from our communities, there will be bound to be a bit more sensitive applications that come through. Do you censor these applications when it comes to applications that may touch on sensitive matters, sexual orientation, marginalized communities, political matters? What is your take on that? Silakan, Florence.
Yeah, I'm quite keen to take that one on because no, we do not censor. And in fact, it's the opposite. We want to provide a safe space. So the answer is no, we do not censor. And we encourage what could be sometimes sensitive. We will look at it. But again, coming back to what Dr. Celia mentioned, it's about the content. So it's not because it is particularly on one topic or another. It all has to make sense. But other than that, we want to be a safe space for all this. Thank you.
I guess in that sense, the reason why I pointed it out is also it's very important for our communities to know and understand what moves our partners as well, so that there can be I guess, a productive partnership. And it's better to work with partners who want to achieve the same objective versus having, I guess, a bittersweet relationship when we only discover there are sensitivities around it. So I think just a word to the community to also do your research also on your partners, which had been highlighted before. On the objectives, what drives them, what they look into, what are the considerations, what are the timelines. I will help raise some questions from the floor. Unless Tuan host Cik Falik, are the questions, are we enabling the communities to ask the question directly ataupun are we reading them out?
I think this session we will be reading out the questions. So any questions to the panelists, we'll just address them and our panelists will answer.
Okay, so shall I do that?
If yeah, sure. I mean, we can do it together. We can do it
together. Okay. Okay, loving the jacket, by the way. Okay, perhaps let's dig up some questions that were raised earlier on when we started. For example, Azrai Dore, your question. I think just as an FYI, the brochure, the information that has been shared by the panelists earlier on, Chandana will be sharing those slides with those who have attended today. So not to worry about that information. And the details of who to contact will also be shared, I believe, in the chat group or on the slides as well. Jun Yi has raised a question to Chandana about the roundtables that were organized last year. I believe this is part of the engagement on how to recommend recommendations in drafting a 3-year recovery plan. Is there an update on this? I think this is a question to Chandana or Mr. Junadi, whether we'd like to take that question now or later. Do advise.
Thank you, Izan. I think I can just briefly address that. I think, as I mentioned, we are taking, rolling forward all those that had been initiated and undertaken last year, and being able to, how should I say, collate the input and the feedbacks to be able to develop a more comprehensive plan going forward. So, as also I mentioned earlier, it's not going to be limited to a 3-year plan. We are looking at 5-year plan so that it becomes co-terminus with the national 5-year plans. So that is the vision that we are thinking about right now when it comes to a new roadmap. As I said earlier, that we're going to chart a new path that goes beyond availability of funding and facilitation, but more from a strategic nature, looking at more strategic partnerships and collaborations with all other agencies and organizations such as Yayasan Samdabi, British Council and Japan Foundation that we have here. And we have also touched base with others as well, that we have worked with last year, and some projects and programs that we had piloted last year which had shown some degree of success that we wish to take further. So I think that's how I can summarize it to address that question.
If I may.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you, Mr. J, for answering that question. Izan, if I may, some of the questions addressed in the Q&A has been answered by some of our colleagues. So I'm just going to highlight some of the questions that probably hasn't been answered yet, so we can share among the panelists and perhaps Mr. J as well, yeah? All right, we have a question. Unfortunately, it's from an anonymous. The question is, what is the intersection between creative and culture with sustainability? Particularly the nature element of sustainability and how so much culture is driven by natural factors in Malaysia. Are sustainability-focused businesses a focus for a collective group? So perhaps the panelists will be able to answer this question. Anyone would like to take it? This is about the sustainability between the creative and culture with sustainability, how it is like here in Malaysia.
Maybe can attempt
Yes.
to answer that question.
Okay.
An example of our support for the ASK dance company. One of the things that we used to do with them, when especially the physical workshops, and now they are online, but I think we're starting to go on to physical, is to ensure that the dying dancers don't die. Our Malay traditional dying dancers. They used to come to have workshops on dances that I've never heard about, from Perlis, from Kedah. And these are dances that need to be revived to ensure that they live, that they don't die, and our identity dies off with them. So we support these kinds of projects to ensure sustainability of our heritage, ensuring that they live on. That may be one answer.
Perhaps I can try as well. The question angle is very big. We can shoot in many angles. Creative and culture and sustainability, the first thing that come to my mind is the SDG goals. There are so many. Are we hitting those through creative and cultural? That's already another angle. Another angle is talking about sustainability on businesses and a group, which is another angle as well. So for example, the reason why Think City has proposed the Ministry of Finance on this archaeotourism for the northern region is that there is so much asset. However, how is a cultural asset, become a business opportunity as to, sustain your living? There has been a lot of investment or even pumping money into conserving buildings and conserving culture, but it's always seen as a sum of money that's put in and not sure what is the direct income or how it can benefit economically to a group of people. So creative and culture can be sustainable business. It depends on how you look at how you plan your business and how you promote your products. It can be very appealing and you can have a niche market. And in fact, you can earn and thrive. So this is the angle of the program itself. So that's another one. And collective group, we have also looked at a collective impact as a group. We have always seen that, okay, a certain program, a certain objectives only focus on social aspect, only focus on climate aspect, only focus on the needs of a businesses and so forth, but they are all looked as separate. But if you put all of these aspects together as an initiative, as a group, you can have a collective impact. That's another term. If you Google, actually, in fact, we met a company that actually drive collective impact initiatives, which is entirely big dimension of work. I think I hope it's not becoming too abstract, but it's huge, the discussion here.
Can I ask Florence to share about the Creative Hubs, our collaboration together? I think that's a very sustainable arts project.
Oh, thank you for putting me on the spot, Dr. Yatila. Yes, so thank you very much again for working with us on this project over 3 years. So together with Yayasan Sam Darby and and a cohort of 15 hubs in Malaysia, we tried to create a program that would bring awareness around the concept of creative hubs. And I'm fully aware that in Southeast Asia, the concept of creative hub is different from the concept of creative hubs in the UK. But what we wanted to do was to number one, create awareness about around what creative hubs are and what forms and shapes they take in Malaysia. Number two, we wanted to support creative hub managers and leaders to build on their capacity and their sustainability. So we created a number of workshops on business acumen, on legal acumen, on fundraising skills. And we also open a delegation to go to the UK to have a look at some of the hubs, especially university hubs in the UK, to see the connection between universities or tertiary education and creative hubs, and how they can impact the community and how they can serve as a potential employability, an additional potential employability pathway for artists in Malaysia who want to, look at the business aspects of the arts. So a lot of the project was around creating those workshops, creating those visits. We created a whole website, a directory of 120 hubs in Malaysia. We created a toolkit, which is online, a free open source for anyone to access and use. And you have worksheets to support you onto how to start a hub, and how to manage the hub and your events and your curation, etc., etc., etc. So there are a lot of resources on capacity building that are available, and we encourage you to go and have a look. And if I may just finish, the legacy of this program is that we are actually giving all that back to the hubs community in Malaysia. And we are currently working on the legacy, which we will work together with a hub in Malaysia and a hub in the UK to create a network using all this directory and all these resources to create a network to connect UK hubs with 5 Southeast Asian country hubs together in one network. So that is the current program that we're working on to as a legacy to this hub program. So I hope that this answers your question, Dr. Yatila. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So Pandis answered the question from Anonymous just now. Now,
may I add one
sorry,
question
yes,
to that?
Mr. J.
I was just wondering if Florence or British Council can organize such a visit, because it'd be interesting to be able to see and be able to bring back some ideas into back to Malaysia in order to be able to develop such hubs, because that's part of the plan on a bigger scale. Even at the ministry level, that is the first and foremost to identify the best locations for a hub. And you mentioned institutions, educational institutions, universities, and that's where we would like to start as well. But at the moment, there is no such, I would say, honestly speaking, there's no such hub that's available in Malaysia right now. I mean, it exists in pockets, but not on a structured and program basis as compared to other countries.
Yeah, so I don't think that in Malaysia there is a, at least not in the public sector. I know of one initiative in the private sector, which is really quite similar, or in terms of the model that is similar to what you're talking about. But even then, I'm not sure it's a full-fledged university hub. But yes, this is something that we were hoping to achieve through the collaboration with UM and embark on bridging the higher education with the creative world. So to answer you with regards to a visit, I think that it's definitely something that can be organized, but I think it would be great if we can all meet and agree on how we can combine and join forces to achieve something like this. And like I said before, we are at the British Council extremely open to all of this, working together. That's what we want, because I think that one of the things that I hear from the community a lot is that it's great to have all these funding opportunities, but what would be even greater is that we could all work together to not multiply and repeat year-on-year things when actually we are all different. We all can contribute something different that is complementary. And so I think that I would really look forward to being able to dialogue with all of you to join the dots and not duplicate efforts, if I'm making sense. And with regards to the hubs, Auntie Junadi, I'm more than happy to have a conversation on this.
If I may just add on the hub, Think City has over our years of grant in downtown KL created a creative hub or supported a creative hub in Zhongshan, which has housed many exhibitions and creative programs and products, and has become a thriving area in Zhongshan building itself. So that's one of the creative hub that we are looking at. And of course, there are also many other spaces together with the tech companies that are emerging, Facebook and Google and so forth, especially Facebook, that we are also creating, not a creative hub, but a creative district itself in Penang, in Georgetown. The street itself where there are several heritage building that's been beautifully restored, but house creative and technology, solutions. So it's like marrying heritage culture with tech. It's a really interesting street itself. That's our initiative in Penang, and also the one that we have in KL.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, I think we can move on to the next question, because we have a lot of questions actually. The next question is actually for Dr. Yatella. This is from Mr. Siva Balan Shanmuga Sundram. Hi there. For Samdabi, long-term project, what's the cap above 25K project for a up to 3-year timeline?
We don't really have any cap per se for a 3-year project timeline. But we would like to have a look at what the content is, what are the funds required for, and what are the deliverables and the sustainable impact. So it will depend totally on that. So we don't really have a cap. Yeah. And usually when we receive budgets also, we kind of look at the whole budget and we negotiate certain things as well. So usually it will go down because sometimes things are fluffed up in budgets that are in proposals. Yeah, that's a normal thing. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Dr. Siva. Hopefully that answered your question. All right, our next question is for Florence. Question is from Amina Jindani. If the application date starts from July, what would be the project window time frame? Thanks.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question? If it starts in July, what would be the
project window time frame?
Oh, all right. So it would obviously depend on what kind of project you are applying for. If it's a research, it can go from 3 to 6 months, let's say. If it's a collaboration, I think we did a first round of collaboration. We did 2 rounds of collaborations in the last 2 years, and the feedback that we've got is that 3 months is too short a period of time. So we're looking at expanding the collaboration period to at least 6 months. So we are open to, it really depends on the content and the project. If the project can be done in a short period of time, we're okay with that, obviously. But if you require time, we can go up to, potentially 9 to 12 months.
Right.
I hope that answer.
Yep. So Amina, hopefully that answers your question. All right. We have another question for Dr. Yatella. This is a bit panas sikit lah kot mungkin tu punya soalan tu. All right. This is from Puan Norlia Samsi. My question to Yayasan Samdabi, is there any special grant that can apply by the Orang Asli community? Mahmeri people are active art community, but so far no support from Yayasan Samdabi, even though that they are living at your playground, Carey Island. Yes, Doctor.
Carey Island is our Samdabi plantation estate. Okay, Ma'am Mary, we are open. We actually open if there are sponsorship requests for organizations that can represent the Mameri community. Please apply through our website, as I mentioned just now. We haven't received any applications, but we are open. I'm sure definitely there, when it's to do with the Orang Aslis, there's just so much impact that we can assist with. Currently, Yayasan Saim Dabi, what we are doing with the Orang Asli is we are working with Ideas, our partner, to improve the education levels from school. And we're working very closely with the Ministry of Education to try and close those gaps. It's very difficult, but it is a long journey, but we are making headway in that. So currently, we are working to benefit the Orang Asli under our education pillar, but we are always open for any arts projects from the Orang Asli. It doesn't have to be Mameri. It can be from any Orang Asli from anywhere in the country, Sabah and Sarawak as well. Thanks. Hopefully that answers. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Latia Tella, for that clarification and answer. Okay. Let me see. The next question is basically to all panel from Ashley Pan. Hello there. Congratulations on a great achievement on all the projects that every organizations have organized. I would like to inquire on the possibilities of a long-term collaborative or partnership grants on showcasing and highlighting artists, projects, programs from each organization through creative writings on print and digital platform. Is that a possibility? I feel it would enhance, I feel it would enhance and elevate all the initiatives and programs that each organizations have funded and supported. So perhaps any of the panels would like to answer, perhaps maybe from Tomokawa-san, if you have any answer for that, for any collaborative or partnership to showcase, to work with Japan Foundation KL.
Sorry, could you say the question again? Yeah.
Okay, the question basically, Ashley would like to know if there is any collaborative or partnership grants to showcase artists or projects or programs from perhaps Japan Foundation Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah, but it depends on the concept. So we, as I talked in presentation, we would like to check the possibility and pre-proposal as proposal. So at first, we would like the applicant to contact to us, and we will check the possibility for that. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tomokawa-san. Anyone else would like to share, perhaps maybe Mr. G, we have from My Creative, any possible collaborative effort for, in the future, if we have any, because the person asked any partnership or grants on showcasing and highlighting artists, projects or programs on organization. Perhaps you want to weigh in on that. If not, then maybe we can pass the things.
Okay, if I can try and say a few words to try and address and hit a few birds with one stone as much as possible, because there was a question on the sustainability model of the creative sector, creative and arts and culture sector, right? And there's also talk about collaborative efforts going beyond what we have done before. This is again, how I can address it. If I can just put it in a form that it's all about a value chain, creation of a value chain. It's not just about producing a product from start to finish, from upstream to downstream. When you produce a product, what do you do with it? You have an art and craft product, for example. What do you do with it then? You want to be able to sell it to generate economic benefits. Now, once you're able to sell it, how do is it limited to your immediate local market? How do we take it further than that? How do we take it overseas? Now, there was the mention of manufacturing, which I think is, of course, again, the value chain cuts across sectors and it goes into other sectors as well. which is under the purview of other ministries or agencies. And this is what I mean when I say that we do need to penetrate beyond the borders of our own sector, this creative economy and arts and culture economy, and it goes beyond our immediate community. So it takes other elements to be able to move together as well. And this is part of the vision that we have at MyCreative as a group, to be able to mobilize the machinery and strength of other agencies as well, not limited to just what's within our fraternity, right? So yes, we can talk about funding and grants, or even loans for that matter. There was something about, there was a question, I don't know, there was a question on funding, financial assistances in the form of loans. All right, I would like to take that conversation separately. If I can't remember who it was, if I can just go into the Q&A box. Is it Arif Faisal, right? We do have loan products currently, and we are in the process of developing more innovative loan products to cater for specific needs. And like I said earlier, we've gone through the journey of the past 10 years, and we've been able, and in that we've been able to see where are the gaps, what still needs to be served, or what we can do less of. For example, we have served more of creative content. We do serve animation studios, for example, before this. Those are, to some may think that these are the bigger boys, right? But we want to be able to replicate what we've done to these bigger boys, if you could call them that, to the smaller boys and girls, for example, right? So just as an analogy, if I can use that. And in terms of further collaboration as well, talking about the local governments, there was one question mentioning collaboration and with local governments. Yes, they are a key element in our creative sector, because they hold the key for licenses and permits for performances locally. And just going back a little bit to what I had also mentioned earlier, where this year we had embarked on our little tour of the country, with going out of our comfort zone and going to other states as well, under what we have come to call as our Kembara Rio. Now that's just a brand name, but all elements are in there, right? All elements that have come under the MyCreative as a group in that tour. And the next tour date will be in Sabah, in KK, the first weekend of June, which is the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So there'll be a Kembara Rio in Sabah that weekend. Now, that is an example of the platform for participation that we as an agency can provide. And earlier I mentioned about, again, talking about sustainability, we are able to produce a product. We have got a deep basin of culture and heritage. But what we have yet to do, or the challenge that lies ahead of us further, is how do we turn that into industry that some other countries have been able to? How do we turn that into industry that can sustainably generate economic benefits for its participants and sustains the livelihoods of its participants, in that it can become pandemic proof or recession proof, for example, so that our participants, our community, do not have to end up being delivery riders or drivers, just as a crude example, but be able to sustain their livelihoods by pursuing their passion for the art and culture and creativity, right? And this is where the elements have got to converge, starting with the basic economics of supply and demand. So we have the supply, but what we need to ensure, perhaps this is where agencies such as us and the government for that matter may need to undertake some intervention to be able to ensure the demand is there. What we have seen recently are art galleries opening up. There have been art exhibitions which we have been involved with, and those are again platforms to showcase the products of our creative economy, right? And that will meet the eye. Oh, sorry, am I talking too much?
I think Florence have something to add on to what you're saying. She raised her hand.
Okay. I'll just let Florence come in at this point. Then perhaps then I can add on to that.
Sorry, I think I may be going off track here, but I just want to sort of respond to something that you said about the need for governments, different government bodies to work together. And what I want to say is very brief. It's a very personal opinion, but I think that it all starts at education. If you want to create a demand and a talent pool, it all starts with education. And if at the education level, arts is not, arts and culture are not put forth, then you are creating generations of people who may not necessarily appreciate, understand, and want to invest later on as they grow older into the arts. And so you limit, in a way, the talent pool, but you're very lucky that in Malaysia, artists are so talented, so resilient. But what could it be if education was involved in this? But anyway, that's another talk, and but I just couldn't resist saying this.
Yep.
Thank you.
Right. Wonderful.
Thank you, Florence. Thank you. Thank you for adding on.
Yep. So I guess we can have this conversation on collaboration on some other platforms that we can have focusing specifically on this, because I think we're running out of time. So I guess we can go for one last question. I think this opens to all the panels. This is from Caroline Pujo. She says, hello, very happy to have joined the call. Our international acts welcome. I would like to propose French and Chinese proposals. Perhaps Pink City, Dr. Celia, would you like to respond to this?
I think language is not a barrier. We want to be inclusive as possible. I think most important is coming back to the content. For example, we had the people who wants to publish comic on the 2 million years of the civilization. Can you sketch it that children and all, even young adults, can read about this, not only from textbook? And if it can be done in different languages, we would support it. In fact, there is a proposal to have it in Chinese, English, and even Bahasa. As many as possible, the material are accessible in different languages is possible. So it depends on the content as well, so Falik. But I think what the question was posed about the Mahmeri people that Dr. Yatela was mentioning about. I really like the involvement of Orang Asli. We've been struggling to find them to be involved in this region. We even reached out and asked them, come apply, but it was so tough. So really welcome all spectrum of groups and society and different languages as well. It's not limited to just because the language is different, doesn't mean you cannot cover the content of that place. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Celia. So, Tomokawa-san, is there any language barrier or any specific language if anyone wants to apply?
Thank
is
you.
it open?
Yeah, we also it is not restricted with language. So if the content, it depends on the contents. So if content is regarding Japanese, it can be we can accept that.
Right, wonderful. Right, I think the time now, we only have about 5 minutes for a short wrap up. And for the rest who have asked questions, we will respond to. If you have any question, you can always send your questions to us at info@cendana.com.my, or if you have any specific questions to all of the panelists that attended this session, you can email them directly. We have shared their contact details on the chat box, right? We'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the panelists, the moderator, Puan Iza, Dr. Celia, Dr. Oh my God, tak cukup napas. Dr. Yatela, Florence, Tomokawa-san, and Mr. Junadi for being here tonight, for sharing all this valuable information that is beneficial to all our arts and culture practitioners, because I believe they are looking for all these opportunities for them to work on their projects, especially now, like we all know, everything is starting to pick up, with all the restrictions has been laid down a bit. So everything is starting to move back again. So all these opportunities, I think, is really something that everyone's looking forward to. And to all the participants, please do not hesitate to contact all of these amazing people, amazing organizations, where they are more than happy to help you out with all your questions, all your inquiries. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for being here, for making this session a meaningful one. And to everyone who attended, thank you so much for being here, for taking your time to join us. And with that, my name is Fali Effendi. Once again, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening and have a good rest. Assalamualaikum. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay,
See you again soon.
Yeah, we
should have a separate discussion.
Yes, we have a poll at the end of this session. So please take your time and answer the poll. Your input is very valuable to us. Thank you so much once again. Hope to see you guys again
Thank you
soon.
very much, everybody, and thank you for inviting us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
And Selamat Hari Raya.
Yes,
Yes, Selamat Hari Raya. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night.